Hi, and welcome to the You World Order Showcase podcast, where we feature life, health, transformational coaches, and spiritual entrepreneurs stepping up to be the change they seek in the world. I'm your host, Jill Hart, the Coach's Alchemist, on a mission to help coaches and entrepreneurs amplify their voice, monetize their mission, and get visible by leveraging podcasts and the million-plus audience we have over on the Gnostic TV network. Today, we are chatting with Annie Bourke. Annie is a telepathic animal communicator and animal medium. She offers a telepathic animal communications mentorship program where she works with animal parents and animal professionals to master telepathic animal communication so they can talk with their own animals. She also is the author of 3 books, and she's going to share the titles with us here in just a second. Welcome to the show, Annie. It's great to have you here. And I
Thank
didn't
you
even
so much,
say
Jill.
bark like Turk. Okay, there I did.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining the program today. I will just warn you before we start the conversation, I've been talking telepathically with animals now for over 14 years. They have taught me some amazing concepts that I had no idea of before I started this journey. So some of the information that we'll be chatting about today may be very new to you. So I do ask that you just listen with an open heart and an open mind to help you understand your animals on a deeper level.
Awesome. And do you want to tell us what the names of your books are? Or
Yep, certainly. So I've got Evolving Hearts and Souls, The Guide to Spiritual Awakening, which I wrote to help people on their spiritual awakening and spiritual development journey. When I woke up, I had no idea what was going on. I didn't know you could wake up, and I couldn't find anyone to explain to me some of the weird things that I was experiencing. So I just really wanted to write a book about a little bit about lots of different topics I've explored to help make the spiritual awakening journey easier to navigate for people. And I'm partway through writing my Bridging Animal Consciousness trilogy. So the first book is The Bridge to Animal Consciousness. It's not a book on how to communicate with your animals, but it's more about the benefits of animal communication, animal soul journeys, my experience of animal soul reincarnation, which I knew nothing about before starting this journey. And this book can help activate people to start hearing animal voices, so it can help activate your telepathic channel. And the sequel to that, which was released last year, is Crossing the Bridge to Animal Consciousness. And I wrote this particularly to support bereaved animal parents so that they understand more about the soul journeys of our animals, understand about energetic visits that our animals can do when they visit us from the other side, and also about the phenomenon of animal soul reincarnation. Because, as I said, that is the most amazing thing that animals have taught me. And it gives you so much hope after having to say goodbye to an animal, knowing if it's their destiny to come back to you. And that just really profoundly changes the grief process. And I've actually got lots of real life stories in here, from heartbreak to happiness, helping families reunite with their animal's soul in a new body. It's unbelievable. So, for anyone who has had to say goodbye to an animal, I highly recommend that you read this book. They're available from me in Australia or online from Amazon.
awesome. So I'm going to ask you the big question
Mhm.
as soon as I get done choking here. So, what's the most significant thing, in your opinion, as individuals, we can do to make an impact on how the world is going?
And that is a very big question. With my passion for animals, my thoughts are that it would be wonderful if more people can learn how to talk with their animals telepathically, understand them on a deeper level. It transforms your relationship with them. I've discovered now, with more recent conversations, there's no coincidence our animals are with us. There is a purpose. They have a soul purpose to be here, just like we do, and they have soul lessons to learn. And they can help us with our lessons, they can help us with our mission, and they can help us on our soul development journey and actually fast track our consciousness expansion. So, to me, envisaging a world where people can talk to their animals and appreciate them and know that they're just more than a pet, will transform so many things. It's a different focus considering how wise our animals are and how much they can help us. They fulfill our hearts. They help with our heart evolvement as part of our spiritual journey, helping us experience unconditional love. And I just want the message to get out there so that everyone knows that their animals are a really important part of their life.
Interesting how different animals speak to us in different ways. Like I've had a lot of different animals in my life, like even farm animals like chickens and geese and ducks and cows and a llama and sheep and and goats. I've had a lot of them, and they're all different within the species and within, and of course, cats and dogs, but within the species, they're different from each other. They have their own personalities and they have their own ways they're gonna do things. You
Yep.
have ideas
And
about
and
it,
that
but
they all understand telepathic communication, which is how they talk with each other, whether they're domestic animals or wild animals. And they've all got different voices, just like humans do. So it's just fascinating listening to them. But they all carry wisdom from their life experiences. So some of the animals I've spoken to have had multiple lifetimes. So they've had past lives like some of us have had, and they can recall their past lives, and they're carrying specific wisdom to help us. So dolphins carry a different wisdom to whales, who carry a different wisdom to lions. But once we can communicate with them, they can share that wisdom with us and help us.
interesting. So do they come back? Do they come back as the same species? Do they come back as different
No, it's
species? Do they
really
come back as
interesting.
humans?
Uh, Lots of parts to that question. So, an animal soul, once they pass over, seems to have some choice with what species and breed they are when they come back again. So, usually a dog will come back as a dog, but it might be a different breed or crossbreed to last time. I've just got a dog client now who's come back as a cat, and they knew that they were going to come back as a cat. I've had a cat that's come back as a dog. I've spoken with a hamster who's coming back as a cat. I've spoken to someone whose dog has come back as a cow, but I think the cow still thinks it's a dog. It goes running up to dad and wants to sit on the couch with dad. It's this great big cow. So, yes, there is variation with who they come back as. And yes, to your question about human, from my conversations with animals, they some of them have had lives as humans, and they've had lives as animals. And again, it seems to be some choice on their part what they want to do. My red cat, who you can see in the background behind me, apparently was a human in his last lifetime, and he's come back deliberately as a cat because he feels he can do more energetically from a cat body working with me than from his human body. So I just think it's a great mystery working out whose soul is in an animal. Is it a human that you've known in this lifetime or a past lifetime? Is it an animal you've known in this lifetime? And some people have actually got their childhood pets back with them, but because they don't know yet about animal reincarnation, they might recognise that there's something a bit familiar, but just not realise whose soul it is. Or it may be an animal's soul in your animal now who had a past life with you hundreds of years ago. There's so much variation, but because they can recall their past lives, they can tell me. So I've had animals that were Roman centurions, or they've been Greek artists, or Spanish flamenco dancers. You know, the world is your oyster about what experiences they've had, but they can tell me that. And people can actually feel this unusual strong bond with certain animals. And when I have a conversation, we find out that they've had multiple lifetimes together. And there seems to be this contract that the souls keep reincarnating together to support each other.
Really interesting. I've had, I don't know, dozens of dogs over my lifetime. But there's only been like maybe three or four that are just like I, they were part of me. I know that sounds
Yeah.
weird, but
No, no,
there's
no.
some
People
dogs that.
describe them as their heart dog or their soul dog. And so, with
Mhm.
how they're describing the relationship on a subconscious level, they recognize that soul connection, but consciously they don't understand why they feel that way. I've had a similar person to you saying, I've had 10 dogs. Why does this one feel so different? And that's because there's this soul connection over, potentially thousands of years. Uh, to describe how you feel. And that also affects the grief process. I feel that people experience deeper grief when it's been this such close bond. And as you just said, it feels they're part of you, like they're part of your heart, and they're meant to be with you. So it's a beautiful way to describe the relationship. And yes, I believe a lot of those animals do come back and have another lifetime with you.
It's
And that's the
so
amazing thing
fascinating.
they've said as well, that the soul endures. So even when they pass over, their physical presence is no longer with you. The soul endures forever. So that's why I can have conversations with animals in spirit, because I'm connecting in with their soul frequency. And it's like having a conversation with you now. It's no different. I've spoken with a dog who passed over more than 20 years ago. It doesn't matter how long ago they passed. We can always have that conversation with them. And I think that gives grieving animal parents a lot of hope as well, that they're not truly separated from their animal. They can always connect. And so if they weren't there to say goodbye, or they don't know why their animal passed when they did, we can have that conversation and get answers so that they get clarity and peace of mind. And that really helps going through that grief journey. But knowing if it's their destiny to come back really changes the grief as well, because you're then in a phase of, yes, I miss my animal who's passed, but now I'm excited, anticipating what I'm going to recognize about them when they come back again. And this has happened to me personally twice now, and there really aren't any words to describe what I call the euphoria and the bliss and the surrealness of having your animal back. And so many parents say to me, can you please tell my animal how much I love them and how much I'd give to hug them one more time? And you've just been wanting that to happen, and suddenly they're back. And you get another whole lifetime to love them and have that, build that bond even more strongly with them. So it is such a bizarre experience the first time. But to the animals, they're putting on a new body. I've asked them what it feels like, and they said it's like putting on a new suit. So they've got to get used to being in a different body to last time. But usually within 48 hours, everyone else in the household understands who they are. It is different for animals because they rely very heavily on scent. So when your animal's soul comes back in a new body, they smell different, they look different, and they'll have a different voice. So your existing animal family members have to recognize them on a soul level. And then it's as though they were never away. They've just been away, they've had a full body makeover, and they're back again as though nothing happened. It's really strange. And particularly if they come back as a different gender, which has happened to a number of my clients. So one dog was a boy, passed away. He's now come back as a girl. So his sister dog has had to adjust to now having her brother as her sister. So this completely changes the family dynamics, but they all just adjust to it.
I have to kind of wonder if maybe that I have an older dog and then I got a new dog, um, who's I, he's just one of those dogs that I'm very attached to him. The older dog, he he's attached to me, but I'm not attached to him so much, which sounds terrible, but it's true. Um, but the older dog and the younger dog have a kind of a relationship that the older dog had with a dog that was older than him, but also I was very attached to. He was just, and I think I see some of the similarities between that the dog that passed and the newer dog that
New
I've
one. And
got.
I'm going all buzzy, so that's my soul confirming the truth. So that's your older dog who's come back to you in that younger dog's body.
Mhm. I kind of
And
feel
that's
that he
mhm.
just very similar personalities.
Often you
Um,
do see very similar behaviours. Sometimes it can take them a while to settle into their new body before
mhm.
they start showing you that. They're not 100% the same as last time because they've come back as a higher evolved soul. Like they've had that lifetime with you, they've learnt their soul lessons, they've integrated them. So sometimes they can show some different behaviours, but there will be things that you recognise and you'll feel it in your heart, like you know you've recognised things, and that's exactly what happens. So, one thing you can do after this show today is to go and tell that younger dog, call it by its original name, and say, "Thank you, Fluffy," or whatever the name was. I'm so glad you've come back to me, and just see how he reacts because they love it when you recognize who they are.
Their names are very similar. One was Marley and this one's Charlie.
And I've got a client in the same, and Mar Marley passed away, and Charlie is the reincarnated soul, and Charlie keeps being called Marley every now and then. They don't mind because they just love you recognizing whose soul is in the animal and that
Mhm.
they've come back to be with you. But that's just a beautiful example of what can happen.
And the
And if your middle
first dog
dog knew the
years
older
ago,
one, yeah, the
uh,
middle dog will have known the older one and will have now recognized that soul in the younger puppy and have that bond with them.
I I definitely see that. It explains some things that I see between the two of them, their interactions that are like, yeah, interesting. And the oldest dog, who's like 40 years ago, his name was Harvey. Harvey and Marley and Charlie. I think
Hmm.
there's a soul progression in there. But
Hmm. I've got several people I know whose animal has had three successive lifetimes with them, like the soul just keeps coming back. And one of my clients is waiting for her dog to come back and have his fourth lifetime in a row with her as a dog. So when you look into it, your people just recognize things and it just all starts to make sense. Like, how can they know? And like when they come back, they know where their food bowls are, they know where they slept last time, they know everyone in the house. And it's just really interesting how quickly they can adjust to being back again. We've been on that big grief journey, and so have they. But just having them back again just changes everything.
kind of just slide in.
Mm.
It's like they
They
belong
were
there.
meant to be there. Yep, and that's just what it is. They are meant to be there with you.
So how does your animal communication, how has that impacted your career path?
I have always known that my animals could understand me, and I wish that I could understand them. And I had a little ginger girl cat, and sadly, she passed away after a very short illness. And it made me feel as though I'd missed the opportunity to get to know her on a deeper level because I didn't know how to talk to her. So she's the one who inspired me to look for an animal communication course. And I found one online, and there was a ginger cat on the homepage who looked exactly like my cat. And I thought, okay, I think this is a sign. So I started, and I had no idea what I was doing. I had two very patient cats living with me at the time who became my teachers, and they just taught me so much about animal communication, and I'm so grateful that they did. But as part of that, I learned how to talk to animals in spirit. So I was able to talk to my ginger cat in spirit and just say, look, I feel as though I didn't get to know you as well as I could. She's got no regrets. She knew it was my life purpose to be an animal communicator, and it was her purpose to guide me to doing that. And I've had lots of conversations with her since in spirit. So we can still connect, and she's appeared in dreams and meditations, and I've been able to hold her and feel her breathing so we can maintain that connection. So I've been doing conversations now for over 14 years, and it just started off as a very ad hoc on the side thing because I was working full time in a government job. And it got to a point a few years ago that I thought, this is my purpose. This is what I'm on the planet to do. And if I'm working full time, it really limits how many animals and humans I can help deepen their relationships. So I quit my job, and so now I can be just solely focused on helping animals and being their voice and helping their humans understand them more with getting their questions answered, but also mentoring them so they can talk to them themselves. And I've now got some of my graduates who are animal communicators and helping animals all around the world, which is just wonderful because I just think it gives them a voice. We can find out so much what's happening behind the scenes with behaviour changes, health issues. How would they feel if we get another animal? How would they feel if you bring home a baby or a new partner? Do they want to go on holidays with you? Do they want to stay at home with a dog sitter? Do they want to go into kennels somewhere? Do they want to be a parent? There's so many things we can find out about them. Do they want a different bed? Are they missing something in their diet? And animals are so perceptive. They can tell me if there's some vitamin or something or other else that they need for whatever is going on in their system. One of the horses I spoke with told me that she needed antioxidants. And I told a mum that, and a mum just laughed. And she'd been giving her antioxidants, but they'd run out 3 weeks ago and she hadn't replaced them. The horse could tell the difference in her diet. So they're very aware of what's going on. But it's quite funny because you can ask them what they'd like to eat and they'll tell you what they want, including all the treats. But if you ask them what they need in their diet, that's a completely different question. And they tell me that, they know. But they're honest about that. It's quite funny. But it's interesting because I do get asked, is my animal happy? And I change that question to, what would make you happier? Because that's an open-ended question and it gives them more scope. And people would think an animal might say it wants more walks and more treats and more one-on-one time with their parents. But in fact, because they're so tuned into you and your well-being, they will tell me, Mum's too stressed. She needs to do relaxation or meditation or whatever it is. And that if you reduce your stress, that will make your animal happier. And people aren't expecting that. They're not aware that their animal is so tuned into what's happening with them. And I actually had a cat mum tell me that her cat knows her better than she knows herself. She was just amazed at what her cat said and what she needed to do. Like, the advice they can give us is amazing.
I remember one time I used to do these intentions with a group. It was a group of 8. And there was a gal on the call whose cat was trying to communicate with her, but he was getting me. Uh, it was just the it was odd to me at the time, but in light of this conversation, it's like, well, and after the call, I was like, this is what your cat said to me. Believe it or don't. And I can't even remember what he was wanting me to tell her, but it was something really like important that
Hmm.
she needed to know about him. And she wasn't getting the message.
And that's the thing. If we're not able to communicate with them telepathically, we haven't reopened our channel. It's something that's open when we're children and we can naturally talk telepathically to animals. But as we age, somehow that gets switched off. But we can reactivate it
Oh,
again.
excuse me.
But till we can do that, yes, our animals have to rely on eye language or body language or different vocalizations, or even if they're getting desperate changes in behavior, because they know that we will notice if they change what they're doing. And so that animal that you're talking about must have known that you could receive the messages even though his mum couldn't. And that's just lovely being able to pass the messages on.
It was it was an experience, and it's like one that is very definitive in my mind that it actually happened. I know you've got these 4 guides for animal communication between humans and their pets or their animals in their lives, which don't actually have to be pets. They could be just animals that you interact with, right?
So, yes, I've got 4 free guides that people can download from my website, which is www.cosmicheartintuitive.com.au. So, yes, I've got a guide as an introduction to animal communication. I've got a guide about rescue animals because a lot of people do adopt a rescue animal, and we just need to be aware and sensitive of what may have happened to them in the past that affects how they interact with you now. So that's called rescuing the rescues. I've got another guide about how to introduce a new animal to your household with less stress and more harmony. And I've got a guide for bereaved animal parents on coping with pet loss and talking about some of the things that we've already talked about to give them more peace and hope while they're going on that grief experience. So you're welcome to download those from the website. And I also present free masterclasses every month for animal parents about all sorts of different topics to do with animals, and I advertise them on social media, and I'm about to have a section on my website where people can get the details and register.
That's awesome. And so that's the cosmicheartintuitive.com.au.
.com.au. Yes.
Perfect. And we'll put that on the show notes so people can get in contact with you and
Yep. You can
get.
ask about having a conversation with your animal, whether they're living or in spirit. I work with animals through photographs, so I just need a photograph of your animal on their own, so no other animal or person in the photo, showing their face with their eyes open and their name, and then I can help you with questions. I've got a whole list of questions that I recommend for conversations with animals in spirit, just so people have an idea. But it's really what's going to give you most peace getting an answer to, like what's keeping you awake at night. What do you really need to know about your animal? And then we can ask the questions. I don't have the parents there. I don't need the animal there. I just need the photo. I have the conversation. I type it all up as a report, and then give that information to you. It's a shame I can't record their voices because I hear them actually in my head. It's not audible in your ear. I wish I could record them because they've all got different tones and accents, just like humans do. But it's just, I never know what they're going to tell me. I've had a horse sing some of her answers to me. Some of the animals tell really funny stories. They make me laugh. So you just never know what an animal is going to tell you. So I just know now to expect the unexpected.
I love that.
And so people can send me a message through the website, or you can email me, which is chintuitive@bigpond.com. And then I can send you some information about the conversations, or if you'd like to find more about the mentorship program, or the upcoming masterclasses, or information about my books, you're welcome to email me as well.
Perfect. And we'll make sure that people have links so that they can reach out to you. Thank you so much for joining us today, Annie. This conversation has been really interesting and it gone in directions that I don't think people are normally expect them to go.
Oh, look, I think it was just so perfect that you were able to share your observations of your dogs so that we could work out what the relationship is between them all. And that's just what happens. And it's just one conversation between us. And now you're going to look at your younger dog with some different eyes, knowing who he is. And yeah, that will change your relationship with him as well.
I think it will. I'm kind of excited to go chat with him
Yep.
after
And
this.
for everyone listening to the show, the most important thing you can do is to tell your animal verbally that you love them and you're grateful they're with you. They know that you love them, but hearing you saying those high frequency words to them is really empowering, and that can change your relationship. They may look at you more intently, they may show you more affection, but so many people have said, I went and did what you said. They've changed. So it's really quite powerful. They love you knowing that they understand what you're saying. They love you having a running conversation through the day. They just want to be involved and be part of your world and be included.
You can definitely feel that if you have animals. It's like they're all different.
Hmm.
Thanks for joining us today, Annie. And to learn more
Thank,
about Annie, visit the cosmicheartintuitive.com.au and don't forget to explore the 4 free guides for animal parents over on her website. And we'll be sure to check the show notes to get those links. And thank you for joining us today. If you have a podcast or you're interested in starting one to get your message in front of our large and active audience, be sure to reach out to us at support@heartlifecoach.com. We love to help spiritual entrepreneurs and coaches amplify their voice and monetize their mission, and offer a variety of ways to do this on the Gnostic TV network platform. Join us for our next episode as we share what others are doing to raise the global frequency. And remember, change begins with you. You have all the power to change the world. Start today and get visible.